Hey, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. So this week we have a really fun jam track to play over. It's a Texas shuffle style rhythm. There's a horn section, there's some stops, musical stops, and we're going to break it all down over the course of 2 videos. We're going to be talking about the pentatonic scales, how you blend the major and minor pentatonic, all of that. And by the end of this, you're going to know how to play it and you're going to know how to put it in context. So I've got the lesson split into 2 parts. This video will take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half and download the tablature, which I have the on-screen tab viewer and the PDF, and also the MP3 jam track, which I have in multiple tempos. You can get all of those things by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP376. Alright, so this week we're back to the blues. We're back to the major, the minor pentatonic scales. To me, this is kind of home. And I know the pentatonic scales kind of get a bad rap here and there. Sometimes people knock them and they say you're too limited, or you're too locked into a little boxy way of thinking. But I don't know about that. It's kind of like I listen to so many, if you listen to any old Stax records, Motown, old blues, most of that soulful stuff, the expressive stuff tends to come from that. And so I've been on a path lately where I'm trying to get into more of, playing the chord changes, getting into modes and things like that. And that's fun and it's challenging for sure. And you can definitely be expressive with that stuff. But, I always kind of come back home to the pentatonics because it's just, I like having that limitation. I can take my head out of it and start to feel music a little. So anyway, that's kind of my thought on it. And so we're going to be looking at the major and the minor pentatonic scale and how you blend them to play a lead like this. Now this is played over a Texas blues shuffle style rhythm. I wrote that this week. I added a horn part. I have some stops where the band stops, but you keep playing over those stops in the lead. A lot of fun. This jam track is so much fun to play over. So I think you're going to like that. And remember, I have it in multiple tempos, so you don't have to start with a fast tempo. You can start slow and kind of work your way up. But let me talk about tone. I always get questions on this and I always forget to mention it. I'm playing today through a Fender Blues Junior amp. And that's it. There's no pedals, nothing else. And I have it, that's turned all the way up with the guitar, which is how I played it in the intro. I have the pre and the post, I have the 2 volumes. I have them both about 50% roughly, with some reverb in there. Now, to get the sound, though, I'm not using a mic. I'm actually running into a universal audio aux, which is just sort of converts that signal to digital so that I can record it. I'll do a separate video for those of you interested. Leave a comment if you'd like to see this, and I'll do a video on the aux and sort of what it is, how it works. There's plenty of them out there, but if you want sort of my opinion on it, I'll give it. It's very useful for this. So no Kemper this week. Okay. And I was kind of going for that I just wanted the old school simplistic sound. And to me, the Blues Junior just gives me that, especially if I'm just sitting in the room with it. It's just an incredible little amp. I can't say enough good things about it. Okay, so we're going to be playing this in the key of A. And I start in this space right here. And actually, most of what we're going to be learning in this video is right in this little area between the 5th fret and the 8th fret. This is kind of the sweet spot for blending that major and minor pentatonic scale. So if you start with thinking about your major bar chord here, that's your A bar chord, but I'm playing it using the E chord shape out of Cage. But the root fret, the bar fret there, is on the 5th fret. And the first lick that I played goes, right? Kind of a Chuck Berry, old rock and roll kind of lick. And what I'm doing is so easy. If you learn nothing else in this entire thing, you've got to learn this. This is like Blues Rock 101. So just bar the first 2 strings there on the 5th fret. And you can slide into it. You can get Elmore James. You can get all kinds of stuff out of these 2 notes. It's the 1st and the 5th out of the major scale, the root and the 5th. There's no 3rd in there, which means it works over a minor chord, right? Or a major chord. So it's super versatile that way. You don't even have to think about it so much. All right, so I'm starting with that and I'm sliding into it. And the first note comes in ahead of the beat. So you go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then that would be the 1 of the next measure. So after that, we're going to play 7th fret 2nd string, 5th fret second string, 5th fret first string, 7th fret first string. Look at that. Look at how I'm playing out of a little box here. 7 5 7 5. You got to know this box, and I want you to connect this box to this chord shape. Not an A chord per se, but this chord shape. So if we were playing in G, you have the box there. You can see the reason for this. This is why I always connect things back to chord shapes, because now I can go into this major pentatonic space by just picturing the chord. Okay, and so that's your major pentatonic scale pattern 2. Right? Now your minor pentatonic scale pattern 2, which we're just about to get to, is right there, like the first few notes of it. So that'd be 8 5 8 5 versus 7 5 7 5. So you can see how versatile this space becomes. You have minor, you have major, and then you can blend them, which we're about to do. So let's get back to the lick. We have, and then I wrapped it up with, that's just the slide into the 5th fret, 7th fret second string, back to the 5th fret first string. Now let's repeat that. And by the way, I'll play along with the jam track here in a minute so we can get the timing on this. But repeat it. Now, this is where I go into this kind of Freddie King lick that goes. Now it sounds like a lot, but we're going to break this down in little groups of 3. And that's really what this lick is. This is a series of triplets. And you're going to see a lot of that throughout this lesson. I do a lot of these little 8th note triplets. So let's look at them in groups of 3. So we're going back into that minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1. That's 8 5 7. See, look at that. We went minor, major. Now we're going to go 7th fret second string, 5th fret first string, 8th fret second string. So that seems confusing, but just take it in groups of 3. 1 2 3, 1 2 3. And then we're going to go. So that's 5 7 5. Second string, third string, second string. All right, so let's back up to the beginning of that lick. Now we're going to go. That's a bend on the 7th fret third string. Then you play the 7th fret third string without the bend. 5th fret third string. So those are your groups of 3. Now if you're a premium member, you have the tablature, and I've got them all listed out with a little line over it and the 3. Otherwise, you can just have to remember that or write it down however you're learning this. Okay, down, up with the right hand. And then we go. So we're going to get out of the triplets now and play 7th fret third string, 5th fret third string. Just remember where all these notes are. Don't just memorize them. You have to put them in context. So what we're doing, major, or minor, major, back to minor. Okay, and then I played this. Let's learn that. Great blues lick. This is like another blues 101. So that's 7th fret third string. I'm sorry, 7th fret fourth string. 5th fret, 7th fret third string. So now we're going to slide up to pattern 2 of the minor pentatonic scale. So I'm going to slide up to the 9th fret third string. So we have. Now do that with your ring finger so that you can put your middle finger down on the 8th fret second string. This is another series of triplets. 1 2 3 1 2 3. When you do the 1, you're sliding into the 9th fret, and then you're going to play that 8th fret second string twice. We're going to play 3 of those. We're going to go 1 2 3, and then we're going to slide right back down. 9th fret to the 7th fret on the 3rd string, 5th fret 3rd string, 7th fret 4th string, and then we're going to hit the low A string, the open 5th string. So now that sounds like a Billy Gibbons, ZZ Top kind of lick. I think it is actually. I can't remember the song. Anyway, let me play along with the jam track now. We'll do the slow version of the jam track so we can put all this in context so you can hear it with the timing. 1 2, 3. All right, so do you notice that we're not talking about what chord we're playing over? Or we're playing over the A chord, we're playing over the D chord. We have, in the key of A, you have an A, a D, and an E. We were 1, 4, 5. But we're not, this is why another reason I love the pentatonics. You don't have to think about that so much. I mean, yes, you have to land on the right notes, but your ear dictates that. Like, you don't, I can take my head out of it and just sort of feel my way around a lot easier this way. Okay, so after we hit that open 5th string, I went. So that's a hammer-on. So I bar the first 3 strings on the 5th fret, but I'm only playing strings 2 and 3. And I do a hammer-on to the 6th fret 3rd string with my middle finger. Ring finger on the 7th fret 4th string. And then I go ahead and collapse that. So 7th fret 4th string, and then 7th fret strings 2 and 3. And then back to the hammer-on there. That's a great little kind of piano lick. You can get a lot of mileage out of that lick. You can go up to the 4 chord. So play around with that lick. Okay. And then I go into Freddie King territory, Hideaway. And so to do that, I'm barring the first 2 strings again on the 5th fret. And then I play an upstroke on the 1 string, and then a downstroke on the 2nd string, with a hammer on to the 7th fret 2nd string. Another upstroke on the 1 string. So you have. Remember that lick too. You can get a lot of mileage out of that one. So I think I did it twice. And then I went. This is where the song goes to the 5 chord, the E. And what I'm doing for that, let me show you how to play it, and then I'll show you how to think about it. I'm sliding from the 7th fret to the 9th fret on the 3rd string. And then I'm using my ring finger to pluck the 1st string, which is also fretted there on the 9th fret. So you have, slide it down, and then you come down to the 7th fret. So you go from the 9th fret to the 7th fret. And remember to use that hybrid picking. Pick on the 3rd string, pluck on the 1st string with your ring finger. The way that you want to think about that lick, so remember we're going to the 5 chord, which is your E chord. This is how I think of it. Look at your E chord here, using the A shape out of Caged. And look at what we just played. You can see when we make that chord, we're on the 7th fret and the 9th fret. We're straddling those 2 frets. We did the same thing with this lick, this harmonized 6th thing. And so I'm just showing you that because when you can picture this chord, now you've got a lick to play. It's really cool. And watch this. I can jump down to strings 2 and 4 and play those also in the same key. It works over the same chord. And then you can go down to here. So I switched my pattern now. Instead of both fingers being the same fret, now I've got one on the 6th fret 4th string, and then my index is on the 5th fret 2nd string. But isn't that cool? You can get a lot of mileage out of that harmonized 6th thing if you just connect it back to this chord shape. So if you're ever playing a song and you can picture that chord, you can go right into those little harmonized licks, and it just really make your lead sound better. All right, so getting back to our song in A, we have that, and then I went. Now look at what we're doing here. It's a lot of repetition, and it's all happening between the 7th fret and the 5th fret. So we're starting on the 7th fret 1st string, not a full bend, I'm doing a half bend. I'm bending up to that 8th fret, which is in the minor pentatonic scale. That's why it sounds bluesy. So then there's 7, 5 on the 2nd string. Now we're going to do another half bend on the 2nd string. And again, I'm bending up to the 8th fret. Why the 8th fret? Because look, those 2 notes are in that minor pentatonic scale pattern 1. So it just gives, you can see how bluesy it sounds if I just do a half bend. And then I go, so 7, 5 on the 3rd string, 7 on the 4th. We're going to hit that open 5th string again. So all together, and then I walked it down. That's just a classic turnaround, but here's how you want to think about that. We've got our middle finger on the 6th fret 3rd string, index finger is on the 5th fret 2nd string. How are you going to remember that so you can use this in the future? Just connect, it's just 2 notes out of your A bar chord, or the A triad if that's how you're thinking of it. It's these 2 notes. So what we're doing in essence is we're walking from this A chord down to this one. So we're going, just walking it down, and then we come down and we bar strings 2 and 3 on the 2nd fret, which is in this chord, right? And then I can hit that E, which is the turnaround, that E, just a straight up E chord, 6th string, and then you hit the strings 1 and 2. And when you have your overdrive, it sounds great, you know, it's just a real dramatic sound. Okay, let me back up and play along with the jam track up to this point so we can put it in context. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so we're going to cover one more part in this part 1 video, and then we're going to save the rest for part 2. So this is the point in the jam track where the band stops. And the way that I played it goes 2, 3, 2, 3. It's one of those things where I'm just sliding into the A6 chord. And so what's nice about that, you have all this dead air after the band stops, so you can play whatever you want. And what I ended up playing there was I went into like Hendrix Red House. And so some of you know this lick already, but all I'm doing is think of your D7 chord shape down in 1st position. If you take that shape and you slide it up here so that your ring finger and your middle finger are on the 9th fret, strings 1 and 3. Then you got your index finger on the 8th fret 2nd string. That is an A7 chord. So you can connect that chord back. So if you know that's an A chord, right? And you know that's an A chord using that D shape, you can play the D7 shape and that would be an A7. Hopefully that makes sense. However you want to connect it back to your chord, but you need to know that that's an A7. So when you're playing a lead and you're in your minor pentatonic, you can go right into it. It's super useful. I find myself doing that quite a bit. I'm noticing one of my tubes. It sounds like it may be giving out, but anyway, we have 1, 2, 3, 1, and then we strum it, and then I go just everything down a fret. And that just goes into a diminished chord, right? But anyway, all you have to do is slide it down. And then we go into another part, which I'm going to save that other part because we're starting to get too much here. We'll save that for part 2. Let me back up and play through this one more time with the jam track, with a slow version of the jam track, and then I'll see you in part 2 where we'll go over the rest of this. 1, 2, 3.